Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
And my name's Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is at N2E Fantasy. We are also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are finishing our division previews, rounding out the last divisions with the South for both AFC and NFC. But we have some new news to talk about. Finally, a veteran wide receiver has signed, Jeff. Which veteran is it and where'd he go?
Boy, so we have a lot going on here, this little podcast here with the Commanders bringing in a wide receiver opposite of your favorite guy here, McLaurin, that we spent a lot of time talking about in the last day or so, by signing wide receiver Stephon Diggs to a 1-year deal. I think it's like $12 million, so it's not like chump change either.
Yeah, it's up to $12 million. Apparently, Stephon Diggs was contacted by the Giants and the Chiefs, I think a couple other teams as well, but he went to his hometown Washington Commanders. I think this officially puts a nail in Brandon Ayuk's career this year, because the Commanders were really the only team I could have foreseen him go to if he wasn't crazy and actually did what he needed to do to get cut rather than go on social media. But Diggs still has something left in the tank, had 1,000 yards last year, was very quietly reliable for the Patriots. Very low risk move for the Commanders to secure a wide receiver 2 to Terry McLaurin. I do think Trey Burks is a project that they're working on to potentially have him be a long-term answer. That may or may not work out, and they may end up drafting again. But they also drafted Antonio Williams in this past draft too. So now they went from a shallow roster to what's looking like a pretty deep roster as long as Jaden Daniels, the quarterback, is healthy.
You said it. As long as he's healthy, the sky is the limit. Hopefully his passing yards can support both of them. But shifting gears here, we have 2 running back extensions. We have the Colts extending Jonathan Taylor, which was a little bit of a surprise because it kind of came out of nowhere. 2-year extension for him puts him into the $22 million range that Bijan is in. And we had the Lions extend running back Jahmyr Gibbs to a very similar but just a slightly more deal than Bijan Robinson, adding 3 years to his deal. So all the running backs are not holding in anymore, I believe. Is there any offensive player that you're worried about holding in right now?
Maybe George Pickens after Flowers got paid.
That's fair. That is fair. He shouldn't have signed his franchise tag, but that would have been the best way to negotiate, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the Cowboys are going to pay all these players when they give themselves the worst leverage imaginable and end up overpaying them. So I don't know. I feel like they're going to end up paying Pickens $40 million a year or let him walk.
It is possible. It is possible. But the Lions and Bijan and the Falcons have reset with Jonathan Taylor now reset the running back market. So I believe they are the 3 top paid running backs, followed by Barkley and Christian McCaffrey. So not bad company to be in. I believe all are first round picks in redraft leagues, if not early second round picks.
Well, I feel bad for Jonathan Taylor. I'm glad he got his money, but he's about to have 6 games a year in the division that's probably going to have decent run defenses. So as much as I would like to have Jonathan Taylor on my team, I mean, I think it's going to be harder for him to put up RB2 numbers that he did last year.
Are you saying RB2 like as in the top 2 or like top 24?
RB number 2. RB number 2 overall. Yeah.
It depends how proficient that Daniel Jones is, and by all reports from camp, he has been very accurate and very steady with this offense this year. So he's actually got nothing but good reports out of camp so far. So, and I'm sure people would dog him in a heartbeat if they could.
Right.
Let's keep it up, and we'll get to the rest of the South here in a second with our last division preview. It is the AFC South kicking it off, and the NFC South will follow. But we're going to start with your Houston Texans. Alex has a record of 13-4. I have a record of 10-7. And we have CJ Stroud as their quarterback, which is the biggest wild card on this team. If he can get it together, probably closer to Alex's. If he can't, it's probably closer to my record. Then you have David Montgomery joining the ranks of Woody Marks and Jaweer Jordan. And we have Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, Tank Dell, who news actually came out recently saying that he may not be ready for the start of the season. So interesting news there. We have Jalen Noel, who is activated from the NFI list as well. So he's back in practice. And then at tight end, you have Dalton Schultz, Cade Stover, Martin Klein, Brevin Jordan, and Foster Moreau. So you can pick your tight end 2 poison there.
I think you might be surprised. I think it will probably end up being Foster Moreau being the tight end 2 on this team.
He's so old.
Yeah, well, he's the only one that can block at the moment, and so he will be utilized. And Stover, I feel like, just gets used for QB sneaks and tush push.
Do you think they're keeping 5 tight ends, though? Because that's a lot.
No. I think Stover could be the one that gets cut, or Brevin Jordan gets cut. It's one of those two.
Yeah, they like Marlon Klein. You did not like that pick, but they like Marlon Klein.
I didn't like it because it was early and he's a project. I liked the other tight end, the one that the Rams got, and I liked the tight end that Chicago got, Sam Roush, a lot more than Klein.
Absolutely. So looking at the Texans over under win total, I'm seeing 9.5. What are you seeing for Vegas?
Of course, I don't have it pulled up right now.
That's fine. You are our Vegas correspondent. Hold on one second. I have Vegas coming in.
I have Texans 9.5 here as well. I don't understand that, considering that they've consistently gotten double-digit wins every year that D'Amico's been here, and their defense is arguably one of the best defenses of the past 20 years, and they only got better. Their run game should be better this year. So even with a bad CJ Stroud last year, they still had double-digit wins and almost no run game. And this year, hopefully, it's an improved CJ Stroud in the second year of this offense, but still, it's going to be a lot better run game with a really good defense. May not be high octane scoring.
Went down like this throughout the year. Like, he started up here, and his performance was good, and by the time the playoffs hit.
I agree, but other Texans fans will tell you you're crazy and he's a franchise quarterback. Truly, some fans bring out the whole word fanatic instead of just the short, fun fan. And I don't understand it. I got told I don't know ball. I'm not going to engage with you. I'm like, okay, well, I don't care. You're an idiot, so I don't want to continue the conversation anyway. I was being really nice. I'm like, hey, every year he's gone down. I'm giving him one more year and then I'm out. I left open the door for him to be good. And I was a big CJ fan as a prospect. And rookie year proved me right. And then it's just gotten worse. So I'm not like a hater on CJ Stroud. I'm just like, right now he's not it. I'll say the same thing about Bryce.
What's hysterical is Bryce started down here, CJ started up here, and they kind of like intertwined last year. Like,
what's funny is I don't think Bryce is past them, but I do think that they've converged. They're both at the exact same point where Bryce, if he continues to go up, will get a contract. CJ, if he shows recovery, will get a contract. But if they both stumble, they're not getting a contract.
Yeah. But we can argue Stroud should have been benched in the playoffs. So they
I 100%
Young
think he should have been benched.
Benching.
Yeah.
Young took his benching, came back from it.
I think Texans would have won if Davis Mills finished that game. Not that Davis Mills is a great quarterback, but he minimizes mistakes, and that's all they needed.
Well, his confidence was shaken, CJ's. So
yeah,
just to have someone with a little bit of more confidence. Great. Anything else on the Texans? I know you disagree with me on David Montgomery's ranking.
Yeah, I'm 5 spots higher on David Montgomery, and I think his ceiling is potentially an RB1 if things break right. I think Stroud, I'm just like 2 spots off from you for this season. Woody Marks is about right. Nico Collins is about right. Jaden Higgins, I think he's very variable this year. Like he could be a breakout player this year and finish higher than that, but I wouldn't peg him for that spot yet. So I think it's reasonable having him number 57. I'd probably be like 48, but that's not crazy off. Tank Dell and Jalen Noel are also a little bit wild cards, and Schultz is a very reliable, safe tight end 2 for you. So I wouldn't really start him in any leagues unless I had to. I don't really think anyone else on this roster is going to contribute much, but I do think that the defense will probably finish as a top 2 defense in fantasy. If not, I mean, I would be shocked, but in real life, they should be a top 2. Texans really seem to be aiming to score little and allow even less. So I expect a lot of low scoring games this season for them. All right. Well, that's the Texans. So let's just move on to the Colts now. I have a 4-13 record, which depending on Daniel Jones' health, I might bump up a little bit. And you have a 7-10 record. You have Daniel Jones is better than Stroud by a few spots. You have Jonathan Taylor as your RB3 overall. They also have Seth McGowan and TJ Giddens as the backup running backs. I think Giddens is probably higher in the depth chart right now. The overpaid Alec Pierce, who's been injured so far in camp, is their wide receiver 1. Josh Downs is their number 2 there, who I think will have a better season than Pierce. Nick Westbrook and Keeney is their 3rd guy, and their rookie Deion Burks, it looks like probably their 4th option at the moment. Tyler Warren is still an electric tight end 1, and you have him as your tight end 6 overall. And the perennial tight end here, Mo Alley Cox, is his backup. Jeff, what do you think about the Colts' chances in this division?
Well, I think we both have them in last place, so we just have to see if they can bring back some of the magic of last year. We see Pierce and Downs and Akine and Burks, as you had mentioned, but I did hear a rumor out of yesterday, I believe, that they were looking at trading for Keon Coleman. So I don't know if you heard that or what your thoughts are on that.
I had not heard that. I thought they were one of the teams that were interested in Diggs before Diggs signed. Don't think Keon Coleman would move the needle at all.
That is possible, but we'll have to. Well, I don't believe that Diggs was looking at any other team than the Commanders. So I think Diggs picked, and the rest of them had to follow suit. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you thought we had them last. We actually have them. I have them last. You have them second to last. We haven't gotten to that. But between this team and the last team that we'll talk about, our average is the same, 5.5 wins. So that's interesting. But Vegas has Indy at 7.5 or 8.5, depending on which sports book. So we're both on the under.
Yep, and I heard Keenan Allen might be signing with this team at some point too, so keep that in the back of your...
But they're not on the West Coast, Jeff.
I know, but at least they play in a dome. He went to Chicago, outside.
I'll believe it when I see it, and I think that would hurt Josh Downs.
All right, anything else on the Colts? It sounds like we're heading towards a disappointing year. Did you say Vegas over/under totals for them?
Yeah, 2 of the books are 7.5 and 2 are 8.5, so we're both on the underside.
Right. So Jacksonville Jaguars are up next, the division winners, the reigning division winners. And you actually have them with a better record than I do. You have them at 11-6. I have them at 10-7. Obviously, we have Trevor Lawrence, Basil Tootin, Chris Rodriguez, in any order there. They could flip-flop and swip-swap. Give me the guy that goes later in drafts, which is probably going to be Chris Rodriguez at this point. Receiver is going to be interesting, and we were talking offline about this, and I might have to rejigger them. And what I mean there is I currently have Jacoby Myers as the top receiver, and then Brian Thomas, and then Parker Washington. Parker Washington is going for a contract this year. He's also like 24 years old, so he's still on the ascending side, so he could push to be one of the two receiver set. Jacoby Myers would be the odd man out in that case. And then you have Travis Hunter that's going to play some two-way snaps as well. So I have him as the wide receiver 4. And then tight ends, I have Bretton Strange and Tanner Kozel. So Bretton Strange might be a little bit low for you. What do you think of Bretton Strange?
No, I'm not high on Britton Strange this year just because of how deep the receiver core is, and I think Kozel to me is a better prospect than Strange was. So I think Kozel is probably his replacement, I would think. Over time, Strange will obviously be the starter this year. I think I'm higher on Jacksonville because I was trying meticulously hard to not be super biased on Jacksonville. I do think their running back room is a big question mark. So they might be behind in games and have to air out the ball a lot this year to make up for it. And it's going to depend on Trevor Lawrence's health too. So I think that they're the team number 2 in the AFC South, and Colts are number 3.
Yep. Well, not according to you and what we're going to get to next year. According to
Yeah,
you, your team
I'm probably gonna bump the Colts up in our preseason redo of our projections. So
you're going to rejigger them a little bit.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to the team that you currently have number 3 that you won't have number 3 in a few weeks. It's the Tennessee Titans. You have them at a 5-12 record. I have them at a 6-11 record. Obviously, we have Cam Ward entering year 2, but was pretty disappointing overall as a fantasy quarterback in year 1. But he has Tony Pollard, Nicholas Singleton, and Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears seems to be the odd man out in that trio just because we know what he is, and he's entering the end of his rookie deal. And then we have Carnell Tate that was drafted in this year's rookie draft, Wan'Dale Robinson, Kelvin Ridley, and Alec Heilmanner rounding out the wide receiver core. And then you also have Cameron DK. So always makes you wonder if they're going to cut or trade like a Kelvin Ridley down the stretch here. And then at tight end, you have Gunnar Helm and Daniel Bellinger. So, and I assume you believe I'm low on a lot of these guys because I have Tate as my wide receiver 51.
I think Tate is going to surpass that. I would say at least in the somewhere in the range of the 30s, which is a wide variance in itself. But I think he should be a wide receiver 3 for fantasy owners. Pollard, if he continues to perform like he did the last couple seasons, he should probably be a low end RB2 would be my guess. Ward, I don't know how it's going to go for Ward this year. I think he'll be better than last year. 27 is probably a decent starting spot for him, but he might finish as a high quarterback too, potentially.
Yeah. We will see. I just traded him away in a dynasty league just to get the roster spot right now, so we will see if he can continue to grow.
If I had the open roster spots to take it, I would have traded for the 2 guys you just traded away.
Yep. I was a little cautious to do that just because obviously year 1 got to get a bump, but I also wanted the roster spots with the cash that I had, and obviously I didn't do much with the cash that I had. So
didn't I offer you like the exact same trade and you rejected it, a second and a third? Or is that for a different trade?
Different trade. You've been trying to give me Freiermuth, and it was like it was reverse.
All right. I think the Titans are on the trending. I think they're trending up. This won't be their year most likely, but I think that they've got a better head coach. They've got a better offensive coordinator. They've still got some young guys that they're developing, and they still have some savvy veterans. So I think they should be improving.
Yeah, I will say that the Titans got a little bit of a scheduling break because they play both the Jets and the Giants, and both of their former head coaches are on the Titans now. So I feel like those games will be circled and starred, and we'll be working towards victories there.
All right. Well, let's move on to the NFC South so we can talk about Jeff's favorite team. But before we get there, Why don't we start with the Atlanta Falcons? We both have a 4-13 record for these two for Atlanta. We never really said did we say the Jaguars or Titans over unders?
No,
Jaguars,
go ahead.
Vegas over and unders. 3 of the 4 are 9-5. So we're both over on that, and one of them's 8-5. So we're over on all 4. The Titans, you'll be surprised to know, are 6.5 across all 4. So we are under right now on the Titans, but we're right up to the edge. Falcons, 3 of the 4 are 7.5, and one is 6.5. So we are very, very under on the Falcons.
Yeah, I just don't see their wins this year. But
Especially
I
with
could.
the chaos happening to their edge rushers.
Yep. And I also don't see, outside of Drake London, who's going to step up and be a receiver there. And then obviously they have Kyle Pitts. But they brought in Austin Hooper, who is on the ancient list that we talked about earlier. But with the Falcons, we have a position battle at quarterback. And that could lead to both of us picking a 4-13 record, and that's Tua and Michael Penix Jr. So I at least think, I can't speak for you on this one. I think that Tua is going to be the quarterback out the gate. They may go back and forth this year. They may not, depending on Tua's play. What do you believe they'll do at quarterback this year?
I think it's probably splits. I think Tua gets the nod early. Depends on health and how well he does. I am interested how Tua is going to play inside of a dome on a regular basis. I feel like that would help him. So
yeah,
that's an
definitely can't
interesting.
hurt. But sunny Miami couldn't have been the worst environment either. So
Yeah.
all right, and then they have the Robinson brothers at RB1 and RB2 with Bijan and Brian. And then they have Drake London and Dotson as my top 2 receivers, followed by Branch and Zacchaeus. I hear Zacchaeus is starting in the slot right now, but they want Branch to win that job. And then they have Pitts and Hooper as well. So what do you think of their lineup here?
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about the wide receivers. I think long term Branch will probably be the wide receiver too, but I think the battle for wide receiver 2 is between Dotson and Zacchaeus because Zacchaeus seems to be like a cockroach and can't stomp him out.
Right. He just feels like he's been in the league forever on multiple different teams. So
All right.
next up, we have the Hall of Fame game Carolina Panthers. Alex, I know you didn't watch any of the Hall of Fame game, but I will say it was pretty impressive what the 2 rookie quarterbacks did yesterday. Carson Beck only with 4 incompletions, did not look overwhelmed at playing even against a vanilla defense. That's the first thing that I'm looking for. Secondly, we have Haynes King that decided to run the ball in on the last play of the game for the win. That emotion, I don't know how it doesn't carry over to roster decisions. I would have to think at this point Haynes King would be safely on the Carolina Panthers roster at least as a 3rd quarterback, if not replacing Kenny Pickett, who dinked and dunked his way at per usual. Let's see what else here. Reggie Virgil was also very impressive in this game as well, the rookie receiver for the Cardinals. So John Mechie got some play here, your former Texan.
Yeah, I think Mechie will probably be your wide receiver 3. Is my guess for the Panthers. I don't really trust Leggett, and I don't think that you really trust Leggett either.
No, I'm good
Jonathan
with him.
Brooks, I think, has a decent chance to maybe beat Chuba out at some point this year, depending on health. So I'm lower
Yeah.
than you with the 6'11". You've got the 8'9". They are split between the 4 sports books that 2 have 7.5 and 2 have 6.5.
Oh,
So we are on opposite sides of that. You're on the over and I'm on the under.
yeah. And if that happens, though, that you can expect that Bryce Young probably won't get an extension if they only get 6 wins this year. If they don't take another
I,
step forward this year.
I don't think the rest of the roster is good enough either. So I don't think it's necessarily all on Bryce, but he's going to be a major part of it for sure.
I mean, he's got 2 decent running backs in Hubbard and Brooks, and he's in even Achan. Then you have McMillan, Coker, Leggett, Mechie. The tight end is probably the weak point, and they probably could go out and go pick up a Zach Ertz, and that would probably help out Bryce Young more than anything, having a reliable pass catching tight end. And so maybe you heard that here first, and they may go out and pick up Zach Ertz, but he's fully healthy now. So
they have a mediocre defense.
Defense was pretty good last year.
Their wide receiver core is too deep as far as I'm concerned. Tight end for after Coker. Do you really trust anyone after Coker?
No, I mean we got Mechie. I like Jimmy Horn Jr. though.
Not enough to put him in your top 4 though.
Nope. He got 7 targets last night with the number 2s and 3s, so still hasn't worked his way up just yet.
I like the idea of Jatavian Sanders, but it hasn't shown up and targets are on the field. I despise that they keep using Tommy Tremble the way that they do. And then they drafted a Hall of Fame player's son at tight end, and who knows how they're going to deploy him. I haven't seen it yet, so.
Yep.
I don't know. The Panthers are a very mid team in a very mid division, so not really sure how it's going to go down. They won their division 8-9. That's because the Buccaneers got so banged up last year.
Yep. And they took the Rams, who was widely considered the best team in the NFC, to the brink twice last year. They beat them once, and then they lost a barn burner in the playoffs against them.
Well, the Texans almost beat them early in the year last year, too.
Yeah, we're talking a playoff game, though, like when they're fully developed and...
Playoffs?
Yep. Tops? Exactly. And that might have been the playoff game of the postseason last year, like as far as closeness and back and forth. And
I thought it was the Caleb Williams Hail Mary throws.
That's memorable
that everyone
too.
Keeps raving about. Was that against the Rams as well?
Yeah.
Rams just had all the fun games last year, apparently.
They had the Seattle Seahawks throw the backwards pass for the 2-point conversion that went off of a player and into the end zone game as well. So they had all the fun last year as far as excitement and entertainment.
Yep.
Great. Well, enough on the Carolina Panthers. Let's hop over to the New Orleans Saints now. And you have them at a 7-10 record. I have them at a 9-8 record. So I did have them a little bit higher than you. I have them winning the division or tied for winning the division right now. What is the Vegas over-under for them?
The Saints Vegas over-under across all 4 is 7.5.
Okay. So you're under and I'm a game and a half over.
Pretty sure when we do the updated version, I'll be over 7 wins.
Okay. You're falling in love with them. They're becoming your new NFC team.
Well, their receivers are already better than the Panthers receivers. Their quarterback, I think, will probably prove to be better. Their top 2 running backs are better than the Panthers' top 2 running backs. Their tight end is better than the Panthers' tight end. Their backup tight end is better than the Panthers' backup tight end. So, yeah. And it's debatable about coaches right now because I still like Canales, but it's not quite shown yet.
I mean, he has improved every single year, and this is the first year you actually have him regressing. So he has been like on a steady.
I don't think it's Canales' fault. I think the GM's not getting very good players.
Perhaps, but Canales inherited Bryce Young, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Tet has worked out, but your edge rusher, I don't think he did much last year, and then this year he's already torn his knee, so that's not good. And last year, your D tackle was out the entire year. I don't know, but I like the Saints a lot more than the Panthers right now.
Understood. But their lineup looks like Tyler Shuck at quarterback, which I know that you would have him a little bit higher than quarterback at 18. We have Travis Achan and we have Elvin Kamara at running back, which that hinders both of their values at least slightly. And we have Devin Neal and even Kendre Miller coming in at running back. I have Neal as the third running back because Miller has had way too many opportunities, in my opinion, to even crack the lineup this year. But receivers, they got a lot deeper this year. They have Chris Olave, Jordan Tyson, Devon Vela, Bryce Lance. They even had a retirement of Jalen Polk. And they have, I think, Trey Palmer still. They have Bud Means, and they have Barian Brown. So they have a lot of depth, and they have Juwan Johnson and Oscar Delp at tight end. So what do you think of their lineup?
I like it. I think Oscar Delp is a sneaky tight end to add because I think he could be the long-term answer at tight end. I think they're a lot more exciting offense than what the Panthers have.
Yep. But I believe the Panthers will be decent this year like they were last year. They'll be able to run the ball still, even with the offensive line changes. All right. One last team in the South. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This could be one of the first coaches or one of the Black Monday coaches that are let go this year. So that's something to look at. You have them with an 8-9 record. I have them with a 9-8 record. So naturally, their over under would be 8.5.
Let us find them. They are exactly 8.5. Yep, across all four.
I knew it. I mean, we're like that makes complete sense. So we pretty much have this team figured out. I have Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Obviously, he's fighting for a contract this year. He probably will get a franchise tag in March. Bucky Irving and Kenneth Gainwell are the top two running backs for the Buccaneers, and I know that you're probably going to disagree at the 23 spot gap between the two of them, but I have seen plenty of Kenneth Gainwell, one good year and 5 mediocre years, to not overrate Kenneth Gainwell just based on 1 year. And then Sean Tucker coming up the RB3 with he's RB69, and I bet you would have him even higher too.
It all depends on who's going to be the red zone guy, which is unclear this far in camp. What is clear so far in camp is they're deploying formations where both Bucky Irving and Kenneth Gainwell are out at the same time, and they are diversifying the plays between them. They're basically using them indiscriminately as RB1A and 1B and completely mixing it up. So I think RB14 is way too high for Bucky Irving, especially coming off all his injury woes from last year. And Kenneth Gainwell is way too low at 37. Like they should both be in the 20s probably.
I hear you. We'll see how they're deployed, but you should definitely submit a trademark for 1A and 1B, because I feel like every year you use that because you latch onto a coach saying he's the 1A and he's the 1B. I think someone did that with Algier and Bijan last year. Did you buy it then?
No, but they still did it. So I still like Sean Tucker a lot. I think he's probably the best power running back on the team. And when they give him a chance, he gets over 100 yards and a few touchdowns. So they're very deep. I don't think Bucky Irving, I don't think his health holds up either.
Yeah, I can't say I fully disagree with you on that, but I will say Sean Tucker is 24 right now, will be 25 this season. Texans are about 3.5 years away from signing him, so they only go for 28 and 29-year-old. They set their dating profile app to only 28 and 29-year-olds, so for running backs.
Yeah. Well, I think they should have gotten him this offseason, but the Buccaneers liked him enough they restricted tag, even though they've had Gainwell and Irving.
Yep. He definitely puts a different skill set out there, though, I believe.
Yeah.
So I could see why they would want to keep him in spite of that. But the receivers, I have Abuka, then Godwin, which should make you very happy that I swapped them. Then Jalen McMillan and Ted Hurst. Then Cade Otton and Bauer Sharp. Does Sharp have any chance of passing Otton in the next 12 months?
No, I don't think so.
Because I know Otton's just like another guy as far as fantasy goes. So he's probably
I feel
a better
like
football player.
Otton and Dalton Schultz are pretty close. Yeah, people are crazy about Godwin and think Godwin's going to be the number one, and I don't see that. Everything in camp is mostly Emeka Egbuka getting the number one targets, and then Jalen McMillan looking good. Haven't heard a lot about Ted Hurst. Haven't heard a lot about Godwin. I do think Godwin's going to be a nice safety valve and possession receiver and will be startable. So wide receiver 33 sounds good to me. I don't know if McMillan or Hurst will be usable this year or not. It really depends. But this is the other team that I think could win the division with the Saints. The other two teams I think might be eliminated at this stage.
Yeah, that would keep your guy as the head coach, and if they make the playoffs, most likely.
Not if it's like with an 8-9 or 9-8 record, because they literally fired everyone but him. Like how can you keep him? He's not even making the defense good.
Come on, he's Todd Bowles. But yeah, I have Godwin getting 845 yards off of 73 receptions, and I have Abuka getting 975 yards off of 67 receptions. 8 touchdowns for Abuka, 7 for Godwin, so I think he'll spread out the wealth there. But yeah, Abuka moves up into my teens as far as position ranks, and Godwin's in the 30s, so just the way the cookie crumbles.
Just the way the cookie crumbles. Yeah. I would like all 8 of these teams to be more interesting than they are this year. They all have their flaws, which is why I really don't consider any of them to be real Super Bowl contenders. Even the Texans, even with their presumed 13-4 record, I don't see it until we know Stroud is the one that turns the corner. The running game I'm not worried about this year. Jaguars, the running game I am worried about. Colts, I'm worried about Daniel Jones and their receiving core because they don't have Pittman anymore. Titans, just want to see improvement from last year with all the young fellas. Falcons, quarterback battle and coaching change are going to be pretty key. Panthers, can they bring the momentum this year from last year and maintain the division lead? Like, I'm a little low on them, but I mean, things could break their way like they did last year. Saints, another team that's got to make strides. Buccaneers are a team that has to stay healthy.
Yep. I think, yeah. One thing I'll say is I think the Panthers had on their side health last year. They were one of the healthiest teams, and they've already proven that they're not the healthiest team coming out of training camp. So I feel like that script is flipping. So health is like one of the biggest things that show playoff teams, talent and health.
Yeah. All right. Well, that has been the AFC and NFC South divisions. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That does it for the whole division breakdown. Please feel free to check out our other videos with the North Divisions, West, and East Divisions as well that are already posted. And that does it for this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for listening and downloading this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy, and with our handle at N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. Please join our community and give us a follow. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Bye, everybody.